Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have David C. Sharp. We're going to be discussing his wonderful poetry book, The Book of David, available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. And I will say, David was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best publishers in the business. That's right, people. Book Launch International. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, give yourself the best gift you could possibly give and contact Book Launch. You can find out more information on their fantastic business at booklaunchintl.com. So let's get it started. David, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest with us today. How are you, man?
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we appreciate having you, okay? And we're really looking forward to the words of wisdom that we're going to be able to receive from you, not only within today's interview, but also, and more importantly, within the confines of your poetry book once we pick up the copy. Now, David, I know we have so much information to cover, man. But before we go into the book, let's hold off slightly. Start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
I'm 72 years old. I'm a working registered nurse. I work in an ICU in a local hospital. I work by choice. I have enough investments to support myself without work, but I enjoy my work enough to do it. I enjoy my work. I'm married. I've been married almost 36 years. I have 3 children. They're all grown. They're in their 30s, 40s. One's 40. Let's see. I like to read. I read lots and lots. I like to read fantasies, especially multiple volume fantasies. And I like to exercise. I like to run. Mm-hmm. Not too fast, but I run.
Fantastic. David, thank you very much for sharing, man. And listen, before we move any further, let me just be the first to tell you here on our network. My listening audience is aware of this. I've mentioned this on a number of occasions in the past, but I remember during my high school years and undergraduate, prior to moving out to California for my master's degree, I worked in a hospital for a little over 6 years. Again, started as a summer program. They offered me a job at the end, and I stuck with it because it was a great experience. And of course, working in the hospital, the money was very, very good. Now, I remember I was working in the respiratory department, and I remember a lot of times I was working in the emergency room and in other departments of the hospital, but the emergency room in particular. And, I often remember the nurses. Listen, man, they a lot of times knew just as much, if not more, than the doctors and worked probably twice as hard. And they never received the amount of appreciation that they deserved for all the work that they did. A lot of times the doctors get the acclaim, right? Because they're the ones that are looked at as are running the show and doing their part. And by no means am I discrediting them for it. But listen, nurses oftentimes, man, they get overlooked. And they do so much work, and we are all the better off because of it. So thank you for all the work you have and continue to do, and really helping and assist in saving lives on a day-to-day basis, man, because you are definitely on the front line, and we appreciate your work and dedication. Thank you, David.
Well, you're very welcome.
Now, David, the anchor for today's interview, of course, is all about the Book of David. Tell us a little bit more about your narrative.
From the late 1970s to the early 1980s, I was living by myself. I had self-separated myself from both my families. I got away from them because I had to. I can't explain that more, but I had to find myself. Mm-hmm. And as a kind of a therapy for myself, I started writing to myself every day. And what is in the book is a few of those things that I wrote. And I honestly never wrote anything with any intention of ever showing it to anybody else. I had a very, very small group of friends. This was in San Francisco. I have a very small group of friends. I showed some of them to those people, but otherwise no one has ever seen these until a year or so ago. I showed some of them to a nurse that I worked with. She really liked them, and that's why I sent them to Page Publishing.
David, listen, let's go into the concept of the book title, right? I really want to address that because, listen, man, I love it, okay? I'm borderline infatuated with it because, of course, the play on words, the Book of David. Now, instantly, when you see that title, it stops you in your track and you're like, hey, is this a religious book? Are we talking about David from the Bible? But, of course, the author's name is David as well, so maybe he's having a play on words. He's talking about himself, a borderline memoir. You're kind of you're stuck at the crossroads trying to figure out that title. But I absolutely love it because I think from an author's perspective, that's what you're looking for, right? You want to stop your audience in their track, you want to get their attention, and you want to make them explore further. Well, David, let's take a second. Let's explore that title, okay? Why did you choose that title to be the representation for your book? And talk to us about the connection that it has to the narrative itself.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to sound, but this is the honest truth. Is that name simply came to me, and it seemed fitting.
Yeah, listen, man, I agree. It is absolutely fitting. And listen, you know what happens when you assume. So I'm gonna go about this very delicately. But as we stated, we know that this is a book of poetry that you've written over the years that really was birthed out of moments of adversity that you faced. So maybe it almost was cathartic in a sense. But this is your book. I mean, this is a book of David in moments of his life that he experienced this. So it's such a fitting title. I absolutely love it.
So the name was fitting.
Yeah, absolutely. Very fitting. Now, David, let's go into inspiration. Talk to us a little bit more because as you stated a number of times already, this book of poetry was never meant to be viewed by other people, right? I mean, it was really just your own personal use. Well, talk to us about that transition. What inspired you to now change it from your own personal use to put it out for the public to be able to partake in as well?
I started to write again during the COVID. And I wrote something about COVID, and I showed it to one of the nurses that I knew. And she said, I get goosebumps looking at this. And I said, if you get goosebumps with this, I have a lot more I can show you. And I showed her a similar collection that is in the book, not the same, a similar collection that is in the book. And she was very impressed. And that's why I contacted Page Publishing and submitted these to Page Publishing. I submitted them because I thought other people could gain from it.
Again, here on the line with David C. Sharp. We're discussing his wonderful poetry book, The Book of David, available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. David, next question that I'd love to get into, man, and I got to hurry up and go here, okay, because my listening audience is going to get very upset with me if I don't hurry up and ask. So let's just move in this direction. Now, this is, of course, a book of poetry culminated over the years of your life. Well, David, I'd love to take this opportunity. If you have one of your poems readily available, we'd love to hear it.
Okay, this is one of my favorite. It was written on August 13, 1983, And here it is. Let us believe in the shimmering stars that radiate their ideas within our minds. Let us believe in the cascading powers of creation that define us as the beings we are. Let us believe in the shared existence that describes our journey here, one with another. Let our spirits mingle one with another, that we may nourish each other. Let our souls grow together in knowledge, strength, and humility, and let us, two by two, be joined in spirit, soul, and body to find, know, and create each other.
I love it. It's so hopeful, right? I mean, there's always that ray of hope that peers through, and it's constantly mentioned throughout. David, what was the inspiration behind that poem?
I don't know. It just came to me. I don't know that there was. It was just there. I just had the feeling. I wrote it down. I don't recall its particular inspiration. I just had it in my head and produced it, wrote it.
Absolutely.
I don't remember a particular any incident that had inspired me particularly.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's try this. David, who is your intended audience, and what are you hoping to see them take from your book?
My intended audience is everyone who can find themselves in this. Everyone who can find themselves in what I have put down here, and use what is here to realize how beautiful they are on the inside. How beautiful everyone is inside themselves, and what beautiful beings they can be.
David, what would you say was a highlight for you in writing the book? Or if not a highlight, maybe something that surprised you that you weren't anticipating before you began on the journey?
Having this accepted by Page Publishing. I submitted them, and when they told me they were going to write a book, they were going to use it, they were going to publish it, that was a big high for me.
Mm-hmm. You know, David, as we start to close out of this fantastic interview, man, I being an artist myself, as I told you on the pre-screening call, I love having this platform to really be able to utilize it, to pay it forward, in a sense, to other artists out there listening in, and in this instance, other writers out there. Now, David, you're someone that has been writing for a very long time. I mean, this is something that started maybe as a hobby of yours, something that started maybe as a cathartic experience of yours, but now you are a bona fide author. You've not only comprised the book, but you've gone through the gauntlet of getting the book published, and anybody that's been through the process understands that writing the book is only half the battle. So I'd love to take this opportunity, David, while I have you here on the line, for any new writers out there listening in, anybody that's just starting out, what type of words of wisdom would you be able to relay to them?
Follow your inner feelings. Follow your soul. And be true to yourself.
Guys, isn't that just great advice for life in general? I mean, of course, for writers. Of course, for artists. But life in general, listen, people, whenever you do anything, you do it from the heart. You do it from a place of passion. You do it from a place of care. Because when you do it that way, A, it doesn't feel like you're working. And B, you're never going to be steered in the wrong direction. When you're operating from the heart, you're always on the right path. I love that. I absolutely love it. Such fantastic words of wisdom. And guys, you know what I love even more? Is listen, we're at the end of the interview now. And we've discussed so much information, and yet there's still so much left to be discovered. Goodness. You know, David, I could think of no better way to close out of such a wonderful interview as this one has been than with another one of your poems. So if you have another one set aside, readily available to pull from, myself, my listening audience, we're all ears.
Well, I chose this one because, and I'll explain a few things because of the situation that the world is in right now. And I will tell you before I read this, that what inspired this with the threat of nuclear holocaust.
Mm.
And so here it is. We are here alone. It's only us. We've come this far. We'll have to see it through. I know you didn't want this, and I didn't want it either. But what we have, we have. There are people over there. There are people here. We are here alone. We had our problems before. We had our fights. But we always put things together afterwards. Now we know we can't go on this way. We are the people here, and we are the people over there. You aim destiny at me, and I am aimed at you. We both know what we can do, but we don't know how not to do it. We are here alone. It's only us. We've got to find a way, or we won't be anymore.
Wow. Wow. Listen, guys, if this interview hasn't moved you, pinch yourself. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to say this for you once more, even though I know I don't have to. But let's re-impress it one last time. We're here on the line with David C. Sharp. We just finished discussing his wonderful poetry book, The Book of David, available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. Guys, head on over there, pick up your copies. I mean, this is something that should be on everybody's shelf any day, but especially right now. Given the amount of uncertainty that's in the air, given the amount of adversity that we are all facing, this book is truly going to help put things in a better perspective for you. I really believe that. Head on over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pick up your copy. You surely will not be disappointed. David, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. Such an honor. Thank you once again for being a guest with us on People of Distinction.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.